Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Discovering Laguna Woods. I'm Cindy Whitney, and today we're going to be meeting a man who has recently realized a lifelong ambition, and we all love when that happens, and he's so excited about it, and he's going to tell us how this all came about. And then we're going to shift gears a little bit, and we're going to come over and meet a group of people who are working to ease discomfort in children who have recently experienced some distress or trauma. I think you should stay with us because both of these stories, I think you're going to find them interesting and enjoyable. Stay right there, and we'll be right back. So now I'm speaking with Tom Nee, and Tom has recently experienced something that was a whole lot of fun, and he would like to share that with us. So I'm going to say hi to Tom Nee. Hi, Tom.
Hey, Cindy, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you experienced something a few weeks ago that was a dream that a lot of us were living vicariously through you when you did this. Would you tell us what happened to you?
Sure, yeah. You know what? It all started probably back in February when I was sitting with my wife, probably watching Jeopardy or something. And what happened was I got an email, and it said, "Would you be interested in coming on The Price is Right to be a contestant?" And I've been a fan of The Price is Right for 50 years since I was a young boy. And I said, "Wow, this is amazing, Mary." And she said, "I knew Laura Mystery is a friend of ours, and she wrote into them and said he'd be perfect for the show."
So somebody nominated you through their website or something to go on, and they contacted you. Is that how that happened?
That's exactly what happened. And then in it said, "Are you available to do a Zoom meeting, like a Zoom contestant, tryout, basically?" And I said, sure. And we set it up in my living room on the phone to do a Zoom interview.
Now, the audition interview type of thing, sure.
Exactly.
That was, what did they ask you to do?
So they basically asked a little bit about my background, where I was from, and then what they did was they said, "Act like you're a contestant on the show. I'm going to say, come on down. You run from the bedroom into your living room." So I was dressed, and I come out, and I was excited, and I said, "Oh, I've dreamed of being on this show. I can't wait. I can't believe it." And I kept it up, and the producer who was on the Zoom chat with me says to me, "Okay, you did fine, but will you take a breath?" He said, "Because you're kind of sweating there." He said, "You did great."
You actually had to dial it down for the Price is Right audience?
For the audience, yeah.
So, but that's funny because I would see maybe you trying out for answering questions or knowing prices of something, but to try out for running down from the audience down to the contestant row.
How I would act on the show, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
So then from there, they just said, "Are you available to come down and do a taping of the show?" And me and my wife, and I said, sure, I'd love to come down. I did want to mention that Nadine Levier made us T-shirts, and it said the Drew Crew on them. Correct. And they were wonderful. It's a 50-year anniversary of the show. We had 50 years on the back of the T-shirt that we made up. So we jumped in the car and went to 7800 Beverly Boulevard on the day of the taping at like 9:30 in the morning, and we showed up, and there's a whole group of people waiting to go on to the show. Yeah, quite an experience.
Now, let me ask you, I know that prior to COVID, everybody used to show up there, with their outfits on, and a large group of people, and they would be selected from that. But you were pre-selected. But when you went into that audience, did you know that you were going to get called?
Absolutely not. No, they actually said, that was just to see how you would react if you did get called. And they said your wife or your guest is actually eligible. A lot of people, when they do good on the Zoom, but they show up at the show and they do terrible. So, yeah. They wanted to see if you were going to be the same person when you showed up, yes.
Now, did you study pricing of anything?
I've been asked that question, and I didn't know nothing when I went in there. I was just going to wing it, and so I don't know prices. I do a little grocery shopping, but my wife and me. No, I just said, you know what, I'll just play it by ear and try it.
And you said that
first of all, I wanted to get picked.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But you said there was a phrase that you got to use that you said you'd always really wanted to say at some point.
I always wanted to say $1, Drew, or $1, Bob Baca, $1. Yeah, I always wanted to say that, and I got a chance to say that. That was great, yeah.
Because that's the strategy. If you underbid everybody, or if you overbid by $1.
Well, the truth of the matter is that what happened was I got in, we got there, we go into the lineup thing, and you have to give all your possessions to the crew there. And then I go up, and the guy does a little pre-interview, and he said, I had my name tag on, and he says, "Oh, hi, Thomas." And I go, "Oh, Thomas." I says, "I don't usually hear that at home. I usually hear Tom Ass from my wife." And he starts laughing. And I said to him, "Does that get me on the show, making you laugh?" I said.
I'm sure he said, "Don't say that on the show."
Don't say that on TV. So now we go down into the group, and you have to watch a show on TV for a couple of hours. And then the girl comes out to interview again, the second interview. Her name was Kim. And I says to her, "Hey, Special K, I'm from Boston. Boston Tom, come on, I want to be on the show." And then you go into the studio, and then you're in the studio. They play some music. I was living it up in the studio, me and my wife, and just hoping to get picked.
Okay, now you're on contestant row. You've
Not
got.
yet. I was still in the audience.
But you said $1, Drew. So
Right.
you got to that point, and you got then what?
He does a little pre-interview first, and I just wanted to mention. He says Thomas and Mary. He says Mary and Thomas. He says just like in the Bible. And my wife said not even close. She said to Drew, right? She said not even close. Well, then the show starts, and they do 4, and then there was a commercial. And then here's what happened. I chew gum a lot, and the girl came over to me, and she said, "Can I have your gum, sir?" So I spit out the gum. I said, "May, I'm going on." That's a sign, right? So now the kid comes out, and you can't hear anything. You can't hear anything. So they tell you when they call your name, if they call your name, look to the cue card. So the kid comes out, and he gives me a look. I'm a little bit off center stage, and he gives me a look like this, and I go, "May, that card has my name up." And he says, "The next person is Thomas D. Come on down."
Oh, that's great.
And I read it, and I ran down to contestants row.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
So now they do the bids, and I got the first one wrong. The second one was the telescope with the binoculars. And the second to last bid, a guy bid 1601. And in my head, I said, it has to be 1602. I don't know what telescopes I thought were expensive, maybe a couple $1,000s. And I turned to my wife, and she had $1 up. And I listened to my wife that day. And and I go, $1, Drew. And he said, "That's who I am, Drew." And $1. Then they said, $775. You're the winner. Come on up to contestants row. Yeah.
Okay, and then what was the game that you played?
Come on up to the stage.
What was the game that you had to
And then
play?
I had to play a game called Coming and Going for a Trip to Montana. And there were 2 prices. You have to push them one way or the other, coming or going. And the 2 prices were $9,739, I think, or $7,935 or something like that. And I immediately said, I'm from Boston. So I immediately said, it must be $9,000. And a funny story is I said to Drew, "What do you think?" "I think it's $9,000. Meanwhile, he says to me, "No, I can't tell you nothing." So I can't tell you. So what happened was I look out the audience again, and the whole audience is saying, going 7,000, 7,300, or 7,900, whatever it was. And I look and I said, "I think it's 9,000 something." Then I said, I'm going with the audience, Drew. My wife was going, doing the 7,300 or the 7,900. And don't you know? I says, "I'm going with the audience." I think he was kind of like wanted me to hurry up. And he says, "Okay, just stand over there. Is he a winner?" 7,900. And I won the trip to Montana.
Wow.
I won the telescope, I won the binoculars, and I won a trip to Montana, which is a 5-day, all-inclusive, basically, trip to Montana. We're not from anywhere. We're from Boston. We don't know anywhere around the country too much. We don't travel that often.
You're
And
gonna love it.
everything I've heard is it's amazing. It's amazing,
yes.
And then one quick thing was my son. He said to me, "I am so proud of you," after the show. And I said, "Why?" And he said, "That's the first time you've ever listened to anybody else, where I listened for the $1, and I listened to the crowd and my wife for the other one." Yeah.
And now you spun the wheel, but you weren't selected to go into the big
The
showdown.
Showdown. No, you know what happened was there was a guy who had 40 cents, and I spun it and I got 50. But I said, the girl behind me, I said, is going to have 2 spins to beat 50. So I'm going to spin again. And I spun again, and I got $1, which I've always wanted to do. Yeah.
Well,
but it was over. I was over it.
Well, Tom, I thank you for coming on the show today to talk about this, because I got so excited. And I want to know, is there some way that we can see this? Is that on YouTube?
It is on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, and I think it's Price is Right, Coming and Going, they show a bunch of the games. And yeah. Okay. We had a little viewing party here in the village that Larry and Donna and Larry Helprin, we had about 25 people for breakfast, because the people here didn't know. They knew I was on, but they didn't know
Yes.
Well, I had one.
Well, good. So we can go on YouTube and we can find it, and we'll be sure and look at it because it sounds like a really good time, and we're really proud of you too.
They're shooting actually now for the 51st season. So if anyone in the village wants to get involved, just go on to CBS.com and go on to Price is Right and try to get on the show. Yeah.
And be sure and mention that you know Tom Nee. Well, thank you, Tom. I really appreciate you coming on. It sounds like a lot of fun, and they sure picked the right guy to go on there. And thanks for.
It's Father's Day this week, and I do want to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers and to my 3 beautiful children, Patrick, Connor, and Jillian.
Well, that's very nice of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, and we will be right back. So now we're outside of the sewing circle, and I'm speaking with Nan Stafford and Donna Brandt. How are you ladies today?
Wonderful, thank you.
Great, good. So I'm going to start with you, Nan, and I'm going to just mention to you that I came upon this wonderful program that you have by reading something that you posted in the Globe newspaper asking for sewers to come over and help you. And I thought, well, I have some fabric. I wonder if that would be, and I said, oh, I've got fabric you can dress your little dolls in. And you said, no, it doesn't work that way. So take it from there and tell us about the dolls themselves.
The dolls are little rag dolls, 15 inches tall. They're made out of cotton, muslin, and we try to do several different colors, ranging from dark to white, basically the range of skin tones that are out there. We cut them, sew them, and put a little beanie on their head, put them in a plastic bag with a pen, and then send them out. They don't have any markings on them. The pens are for the children to make them their own. Whatever, comes to whatever they feel like they want to do is what they do.
Okay. Donna, just fill in a couple of gaps there. Who are the children that are receiving these, and what are their circumstances?
We do Mercy Outreach. We do South Coast Outreach. They're outreach food banks. And sometimes they get clothing, sometimes necessities. So we do dolls for these people. And then we do fire department, police department, where they take them on the trucks for first responders, maybe where people have totally lost everything in a fire. We do Doctors Without Borders. So they go to different countries, into orphanages, or children that are in line for medical treatment, like the different things that our doctors go over to do. So we do quite a few different places. We have done in the past hospitals. They go to children's wards where they may have surgeries. They may be going through physical therapy. So there's quite a lot of places that we've done.
So there's a specific need and purpose for these dolls, and it's important that they are featureless. There's no face or hair. There's obviously we're going to be showing that they have a little cap, and that's it. And then the child does what with the doll?
Well, it depends on the child. We had one little boy who just took his pen and scribbled red all over it. He was beating up his little brother. And instead of beating up his brother now, he looks at his doll, he sees his anger on the doll, and has substituted the doll for that anger, or has channeled it into that doll.
Oh my goodness! I mean, that's really incredible when you think about that. Now, someone has shared some science about this with you too. I'm assuming that they say these dolls have purpose in many different situations too. Have they shared those things with you?
No, not really.
I don't know
just
science,
that
just
sometimes
okay.
the dolls go to children that really don't have anything.
Okay.
And they can color them with their favorite color. They can, if they have any disability, their parent might put it on the doll. So that all of a sudden this doll becomes not just a doll, but someone that they can love and cling on to. And, and by them being able to put their own mark on it, it makes that doll really personal to each child.
Yes. Now, one of the things that I asked you, because it's so much in our minds now, is Ukraine. And you told me just a story about how some of the dolls found their way.
They did. One of our Kiwanis members has a print shop, and the lady came in and said, I have an emergency. I need a quick turnaround and make some shirts. And she said she was going to Ukraine. And this lady had 2 bags of dolls in her back room, brought them out, and off they went with this lady to Ukraine. So that was amazing.
That makes me so happy to hear that. So this is wonderful. I know that we're going to be speaking with some of the other sewers in there, and you said you have some folks in there that are long time in this program, and it is sponsored by Kiwanis International.
Yes, it is. That's our umbrella. Yes.
Okay.
There are many Kiwanis groups throughout the country actually doing the dolls. If you were to look online, you would find them called trauma dolls, which kind of gives you an idea how they're used in many circumstances to calm down that person who might be in trauma.
Yes.
So yes, they're our sponsor. I'm a Kiwanian, and so they paid for our fabric and all those kinds of things that are goods.
And I think it's important to mention where we are. Where are we right now?
Geneva Church, Geneva Presbyterian. Yes. And they're wonderful to us, and they offer us space each week that we can come here. And we've been here for quite a few years. They've been wonderful to us. We're totally blessed that we have a room that we actually have a storage area where we can store our materials. But they couldn't be nicer. This church has really reached their hand out to us.
Yes. Yes.
And we thank God for that.
Yes, yeah. It's really amazing that we can be here at this time and doing something that makes people feel safe, and we feel safe, and so it's all the best. So, well, I thank you so much for spending some time explaining. We're looking at these beautiful dolls and we're wondering, okay, what happens with these dolls? What do we know is going to happen? How are they going to help someone? And it's so interesting to find out some of these children have taken trauma and explicitly put that on the doll and shown someone that says, this is something that makes me feel better just to have this.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us today, Donna and Nan, and we're going to talk maybe to somebody else in there and find out what their point of view is too. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'll be joining you again. I love your sewing circle.
Yes, we like it too.
And we will be right back. And now I'm here with Susan Nathan. Hi, Susan.
Hi, good morning.
Well, good morning to you. Yes, I know, the day's going by fast. I hear that you are a real hero to the program here because you've been here a while and you have a very deep commitment. Can you tell me when you started and why you are so committed to this program?
Okay, it was about 5-6 years ago that I started, and we were doing a big project with one of the high schools here. Kiwanis was showing them what could be done, and we had all these dolls to sew, and then they were stuffing them. We had a grand time with about 200 kids stuffing these things, cutting, doing different things, so we had a lot of fun. I also like where they go and what they do. They really help children. So I like to make sure that the project keeps going. And some of these places are Laura's house, and which is a place for domestic violence, not violence, but I mean for people who have been suffering with that. And auxiliary foster children's homes, different places. Sheriff's Department carries them around in their trunk for people that have been traumatized with a fire or what have you. Yes. Hospitals, just any place that can use them.
Yes.
Children.
And they report back to you, I assume, and say, we need more of these because what?
We're all finished. We're done. We've handed out all of these to the children, and we need more.
Yes, because it has an effect. It has a benefit.
It really does. It really does. The child gets a bag with a pen, and so it's personalized. They can write smiley faces on there or get signatures from doctors or people that have helped them or other children. They can personalize them, so it's a lot of fun.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. You would think, how can such a simple thing make such a big difference?
It really does. At a time of need, it really does.
Yes.
And we're always looking for sewers. It seems like everyone in this village could sew, but they don't.
Well, there's our call to action.
Yes,
we want
call
people.
to action.
And I don't sew, but I came over and I can stuff something.
Stuff. Yes, you can stuff. You can sew them up. You can do different things. absolutely. Put the hats on. We
Sure.
have them with little hats.
Yes, they're
And
cute.
yeah.
Why the little hats? I love the little
It's
hats.
just something to liven it up because it was like this
I know it was. Yeah, it was
plain thing. Yeah, and I like to get material that's off-white and white and cream and dark
noticed.
brown and whatever we can find.
Thank you
Yeah.
for that, because that really personalizes it
Yes,
to the
it does.
child. That's
Yes,
really
it does.
it makes it very special. Well, thank you, Susan. I
welcome.
really appreciate your time today to come out here, and I know you're really busy in there working hard
Yeah.
and letting us know a little bit more about this project. And I hope that a lot of people contact you, and we're going to put
That
the
would be
number
good.
where they can reach this program
Great.
and sign up and come on over and
Thank you.
and
I
be
really
be
appreciate
involved in this great program.
Okay,
All right,
appreciate it.
okay.
Okay.
And we will be right back. Well, thanks for joining us today, where we met a couple of interesting folks. We met Tom Nee, who can now cross off that want to be a game show contestant off his list, and he can go on to the next thing. Then we also want to thank Nan Stafford and her wonderful group of volunteers who work very hard every single week to bring comfort to children in need. We thank you for watching us on Wednesday and Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m. on Village Television, and also you can watch us anytime you want on Village Television YouTube. We hope that you are taking good care of yourselves and being kind to yourself and everybody around you. And we will see you next time and every time on Discovering Laguna Woods. Bye for now.